Jerome Scott Smith here. Welcome to another episode of Theater Talk. Today's episode was pre-recorded in September, and it features myself, Fleming, and D.L. Hopkins. And before we begin, I'd like to take the time to give love and blessings and hugs to D.L. Hopkins in the loss of his dear mother. DL, we love you. If there's anything you need, just let us know and we'll be there for you, brother. In today's episode, we're talking all about keeping your theater skills sharp. Let's take a look at our conversation.
So today we're talking about how you sharpen your skills, how you keep yourself fresh as an actor. What do you do as an artist to keep your tool sharpened, and I think, as we get deeper into our careers, it's kind of easy sometimes to be like, okay, that was good, but how do we go to the next project or the next couple of projects and then keep it together?
That's a good question. Overlap I answer questions ahead of time. Seems to me I kind of address some of this, but you have to. You can never refine too much. As a matter of fact, I think I made reference to the guy that is a very good actor that was in The Green Mile, but he was also in that movie with Taraji called The Best of Enemies. It was a true story. And they were interviewing him, and they said, "Well, how do you do this?" And he said, "Well, you don't just show up. There's preparation. So, no matter how good you think your skills are, Chadwick was, God rest his soul, is just such a tragic thing because the brother had created so much in just a few projects, but there was a lot ahead of him. But his humility, I think when you become stuck on yourself or think that you're all that really clouds your ability to continue to grow, because you have to constantly be refining, developing. Me personally, I always got a poem or a song on my mind that I'm going over or working on or reviewing stories that I know, because you just know whenever you might have to, use them or, so it's just constantly working on your craft. It never sits idle. Even if you're not currently involved in a project or have one on the horizon, you can, and that's the fascinating thing to me, because it's not like a chore or something I got to do. It's just part of me now.
Yeah. I know we always keep on going back to the early days, but I remember as a young actor, we were taught to we had classes and things of that nature. But when I look at, at how Ernie would tell us how to prepare every, these were just for our performances, and when I look back, I'm like, this was something that would help me, and it still does help me even today, just those little things to stay grounded. But, it never stops, right? You're thinking, and I look back and like, as a young actor, I thought, okay, this is good for this show. But no, as I continue, these are things that little things that have helped me through the years, Mm-hmm. And now as I venture out into other things like film and filmmaking, it's a daily grind, I'm always learning. It's always something, especially even with acting, it's kind of like technology changes and refines, and I think as an actor, that is, or a director, you always going to have the best tech, right? And so what's your tech? Your tech is your mind, your body, your knowledge,
Sure.
And so those are things that,
And Ernie, as many gifts as he gave me, I mean, I could just list so many, but the main thing, as you guys know well, is, I was always very insecure about every step of the process. And it stemmed from the fact that as an adolescent, I carried it into adulthood, I was just very insecure in general. But he made me recognize that, you can keep on hemming and hawing with all that bullshit, but you have your own voice, and your voice is not like anybody else's voice. Everybody has their own voice, and you need to use that voice. And so it gradually pulled me into that direction, and it's something I still, even now, still find creeping up in my psyche, but I know to just kick that shit to the side. Perfect example, I emceed a virtual concert on Friday. It was at the Black History Museum, and it was kind of on the fly. And I realized the two main people that were running the event, I was kind of getting mixed messages as to what they really wanted. And so I finally realized they were saying that anytime I can, get that microphone and put in the PSA. And so once I really grasped that, I kept doing it. And then at the end, they had my closing remarks. And I said, well, really, man, I should say this over top of the music because it's just richer that way. And he's like, yeah, but I said, I didn't clear it with the band. So what I did, and it just occurred to me in a moment. And because I've been in the arts and we've done all of these projects, sometimes it occurs to me some level of creativity to put in something. And so as soon as they finished, I said, hey, man, Lance was the guy's name. Lance, anyway, I say, play that last song real quick, a soft reprise. And so they went back into the song, and I read it over top of it, and then they closed out on the music, and it was boom, it worked. And so, it forces you to, like you say, we have all these tools, and it forces you to tug on them, recognize them. Sometimes you don't recognize them, but just use what you have. Arthur Ashe had a quote that I just absolutely love, and I quote from time to time. It says, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. That sums it all up.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would tailgate on that with I think it was Mary Sue Carroll or Randy Strawderman, who said, we were talking about something, and they said that I can't remember which one said it, so I don't want to misquote him, but we were talking about Alice in Wonderland, and I think it was the rabbit, whatever his name was late, of course. And they were asking a question about how do you actually get something like that done? How do you do the impossible? So it's very simple. You start at the beginning and you simply continue through until the end.
Wow. Now that may have been Ernie, because Ernie loved Alice in Wonderland. And the quote I remember him always saying was, sometimes you have to go a long way around in order to go a short distance. Bam!
Yeah.
Woo! And that's me right there. That was my journey.
Do you remember the poem that he used to do, that we did, and you said that was you? It said, the long way is oftentimes the short way for me. To get where I'm going.
I don't remember that.
Sometimes I have to end up in circles. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
no. Wait, can you find that poem?
That was from A Hand on the Gate.
Yes. I never did that show. I was a part of.
But you read it. We were around reading it, and you read the poem. Ernie laughed.
I don't remember all of it as vividly as you do because I didn't actually do it. But yes.
No. I understand it. But when you read it, Ernie, you said something like, "Ain't that the truth?" Like, and everybody laughed, and you were just like, "Yeah, okay, that's good." I was like, "No, it's like pretty good."
Wow.
So, but my views on this, on like the work that you're talking about, are going to be slightly different.
Yeah.
So, we've all been doing this for a long time, and I found, for me, and I can't say for everybody, some methods to drop into a character. And I think that's the longest bit of work that needs to be done. There are like some touch tones that I can use to drop into a character, not hit the ground running, but use as a touch tone and a starting point once I have these questions answered, how to get rolling in it. The problem with that is I wish I had it when I was younger. As an actor, all I had to do was act, right? But now that I'm older, that's not the case. I'm also producing. I'm also, in some cases, directing, marketing. There's a lot of things, that distract you. But when I had the luxury of just acting, the thing that I found that helped me, similar to what J-Ron mentioned, was music. So I'd find a piece of music from that particular time period that would be up my character's alley. It doesn't have to be something I like. It's something that would be right up that character's alley. Now, how that character moves to that music or enjoys that music tells you a lot about who that person is. And you combine that with all the clues and stuff that you found in the script and what other people say about you versus what you think about yourself, your character thinks about themselves, and all the copper stuff, character, objective, place, environment, relationships. And also, the other question that I found is if I figure out how my character gets down, that tells me everything that at least I need to know to get started, to put some meat on these bones, right? The script are just skeletal bones of a character. It's your job to put the flesh on it, the muscles, work it out, get it up, get it dressed, and make it walk and talk like this person that was written there.
Yeah.
And if I find out how a person gets down, like it's totally different. Like a wonderful time for my mother would be an evening that's late summer, right before the fall, finished raining, the windows are open, there's some good old time gospel on the radio because she doesn't mess with record players or any of that stuff. And she has found an epiphany to a verse in the Bible. That's her, she's elated. Now my dad gets down a different way entirely. I'm not going to get into that, but it's completely different. but that tells you a lot about these people. Yeah. The extent of their boundaries, their proclivities, everything. These are places how I drop into, and it's not how I see the character, but just how I can drop into it really quickly and then start to build. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. A magical moment for me when we did 2 trains at Virginia Rep in the November Theater. Jerome had me play Sterling, and I was looking for Sterling did a little time inside, and he a little aloof, and for some reason that Aretha Franklin song "Respect," and I came in with a transistor radio. I was like, "What you? Yeah, man, I got who," and it just. Even though it was a female singing, it just, I don't know, I felt so connected with Sterling just because of that song and that transistor radio. Yeah. Which were things of that moment. Transistor radio was a big thing.
Oh, man, it was freedom.
Yeah. So all of that really worked for me in that character. Yeah.
Yeah. The other part that I wanted to talk about is as being an older actor, I am working on being less distracted. I've had a couple of plays that I've been in that people enjoyed, but I didn't enjoy myself as much as I used to because I was too preoccupied with other things. So now I am working on just...
Outside of the production or within it?
Both. Both. Just both. I am working to hone my focus, stay committed and in when I'm in the rehearsal period. And I mean, just relentlessly, tirelessly build and find this daggone character. Because like the last play that I was in, I think I got comfortable the last week of, like right before we closed. I was like, okay, I know who this guy is. It's way too late. It's stupid.
But, that's as I've said before, that was the biggest frustration to me about professional theater because my only experience was in repertory preparation. And so we were doing classes and all that. So you had a lot more time to figure out this whole process. And you know, you start the first day of rehearsal in these goddamn professional theaters, and they start blocking the first day. I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Blocking?
I don't even know if this guy can he walk?
I don't even know if I want to stand there.
Right. Yes.
What are you talking about? And so, but you have to work within the framework that you're given. So you got to learn how to take whatever you got and drop it in that bowl and
mix it up and justify it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So, you know, I don't want to like, hold on, you know, but I had a few productions like that where I wasn't satisfied. It's not, and because I was frustrated with the circumstance, I neglected the work. So I blame me. And that's what I really enjoy doing is like you can't have fun with the character until you actually have it seated and you're walking around in it, or really enjoy working with the actors. Because in some instances, it's just me working with my friends. What it should be me as this character working with my friend as that character. But it wasn't.
Ernie's you know, trick to that. That's why he loved repertory theater so much, because when you develop that chemistry outside of the stage and you bring it into the stage, that's when stuff really starts firing. I mean, and the more, I think particularly if you start off in that process and you can grow in that, then you can just take it. And even if you don't have those circumstances, you can recognize where you need to go with stuff. Yeah. So that if you don't have that, you can still, you know, just make it work.
Yeah.
And you have a crazy amount of familiarity, right? And the other thing is let's be honest, we had like an incredible environment, like the camaraderie, community, and fellowship, latitude to do whatever you wanted to do. You know, nobody was going to cuss you out except for Ernie, of course.
Right.
But you know what I mean? I could do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And it was seen as a welcome. You know, thank you for taking those risks. But you can't take risks until you're like at a certain point in the process.
Yeah.
We started there because we already had that.
I can still see his face the first time I opened my mouth with the first piece he gave me to learn. And for years, I used to always ask him, Ernie, why did you act like that? And he never would. To this day, I don't truly know, but I have a sense of it. But it was that monologue from Blues for Mr. Charlie, that main character.
Oh.
And I forget the character's name. Jeremy played it when Dr. T and Chuck did it at University of Richmond. I was a part of the reading. We did a reading of it at BCU, but then the next year they put it on his feet. But they cut, because you know that play is like 3.5 hours. It's over 3 hours, and so they cut it and they did it. But I didn't do it. Toney did it though. I think Toney did the production.
Yeah, Toney did Blues.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm listening to all this and I'm thinking I'm going back in time, right? There's this incredible circle of life that we have all lived in this company. You know, this repertory has been such a part of our total artistic foundation and growing, and we take all those moments, right, and build upon that foundation, which is a solid foundation, and affords us the opportunity to go from there, right? With like DL, you know, you have these other things outside of repertory with Meisner and all that, but that foundation kind of gave you that solid thing to really go out even further, you know.
Yes.
And I think about when I think about this circle, I'm thinking about, we're looking at Lovecraft, right, and Journey, who when we first saw her in Eve's Bayou. Now, she was a young actress, right? Probably relying a lot on just only talent, right? But if you don't go from just talent, you will never grow. You will never get to that full circle, right? And I you can just see in her performances that she was talented when we started, but we know that the work is there. It's evident in her performances, right?
Oh, definitely. She has not been resting on her laurels.
Yes, exactly, right.
She's doing some stuff that I'm jealous of.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh, that's clever. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but it's like what Ernie. One thing that Ernie talks about is when you have talent coupled with technique, you have something strong here, you know. And I think a lot of talented people, we see them, and what happens years later, they might still be in the same place.
Yes, it's like arrested development.
Yeah,
I do think that talent is overrated, though. I think that, you know, in my personal, I do. My personal example of that is singing, because I was a person who never thought they could sing. When I finally, you know, sheepishly pushed myself into a couple of opportunities to sing, I was so well received. I realized it was me all the time getting in the way of myself. And because the reality is, if you can, you know, was the African proverb, if you can walk, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can sing, you can dance. No, I'm sorry. If you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. And that's really the truth. Just think about a choir. All a choir is a collection of voices. Now, obviously, different human beings have different control of pitch, but that's something that can be trained. And of course, some people have a voice that, like, one person might be more desirable to you in terms of their voice quality than to me, and vice versa. That's something totally different. But anybody can sing, anybody can dance. And so I believe that anybody can learn anything. Yeah. And that's my personal example of that, is when it comes to singing.
Yeah.
But it's no question that people have gifts and talents. I mean, that would be absurd to deny that. It's just like somebody that's 7 feet and somebody that's 4'2". I mean, you know, clearly the 7-foot person is more readily available to the basketball court.
Right.
You know?
Well, I will say that Jerome did touch on something that kind of resonated with me. I think you used the word actress initially, and I think that actresses, young actresses who are beautiful, have a different challenge. Because beauty can be, you know, conflated with talent.
No doubt about it. That's why I say I like that girl. What's her name? What is her name that we talked? Journey.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I use as an example.
Yeah. Perfect example.
Like, she's beautiful, but she's got foundation of technique beneath her.
Yes, sir.
That is obvious, because I've seen her in several different roles. Look, Chadwick Boseman is the same, but there's technique beneath it. Not just it's not just someone smiling at the camera, looking good, reflecting light attractively. That only goes so far. We've seen a lot of that. You know, those are short careers. Stacey Dash comes to mind. She was wonderful in Clueless.
Yeah.
But what have you done lately?
She was beautiful, but yeah.
I mean, she's still in a lot of stuff.
I never saw that movie, but you know, when you're
you didn't miss nothing.
No, but when you're that brainwashed, man, it's gonna take a whole lot for me to
take the brainwashing out of it. This is before all of that. She is just a pretty person.
No, but I'm saying that, no doubt. I did see her in Mo Money.
Mo Money, yeah. That's when I first saw her.
That's the way I first heard of her. I didn't even know about that Clueless thing, but she, you know,
and that was it.
She was clearly put in the right project, though.
How many Academy Award was that nominated for?
No, but I'm saying she was clearly put in the right project, though. That was the project made for her.
I dig it. I dig it, man. Yeah, definitely. Dude, my point that I'm trying to make is that, you know, guys can do it too. You can be a pretty boy, and you know they throw you out there, and you just repeat lines, and you have this somewhat limited career because there's a certain amount of arrested development there. It becomes comfortable. It becomes the norm, and you just do the same thing over and over again. Just be pretty here.
I will say this though. I have mad respect for people who I felt weren't doing shit, but because they were allowed to stay in the craft They worked on it, and you know, even though this isn't the best example, Will Smith, for a long time, you know, was just the Fresh Prince. But this brother has worked on his craft. And I don't know if you guys saw a movie called 7 Pounds. I felt like he did extraordinary work in that movie. And I was so pleased and impressed because, you know, he's a multimillionaire, I'm sure, and is a movie star, etc. But he worked on it. He did an okay job with Ali.
Mr. July. Mr. 4th of July. No, he is. He's Mr. 4th of July.
Yeah, yeah.
What? What did I do?
Elaborate.
No, he would come out with blockbuster movies every 4th of July.
Oh, I see.
For like a decade straight.
Yeah.
And a lot like Tom Cruise, he was playing stuff that was him.
Exactly. They weren't all good.
Right.
I mean,
but they were okay. But my point is that 7 Pounds, that is, you don't even see Will in that character. And he plays it with, have you seen that movie?
Yes, I have.
Played it with such nuance. And
I would say the same thing about Ali.
But I'm telling you, there were so many nuances to that movie, and his commitment to every aspect of that journey. It was powerfully done. And it's a powerful love story with another very attractive woman who, you know, got Rosario Dawson.
It's amazing how we as actors get paid to look comfortable with beautiful women.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate aspect
of the game, right?
Somebody got to take that hit for the team, right?
Right.
Somebody got to do it, man.
Yeah, somebody got to do it. Somebody got to tell these stories, right?
Right.
Another brother that comes to mind is Jamie Foxx. Like we joke and laugh about him. You know, doing all those shows on TV. What was the name of the character that
Jamie Foxx
on Living Color? What was the name of
the Jamie Foxx show he did?
No, that's one of them. But there was a character, Wanda, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? And it's all hyper, whatever, you know, over the top, stereotypical, blah blah blah. And then he does something like Ray.
Man, let me tell you, he was made for that shit. He was made for that.
I don't know if I can agree with you on that, man. I think the brother is just. I say that he was prepared in that moment for that damn role, and
that's no
doubt transparent. Didn't see him.
Yeah,
and then he did a couple other things that were just equally good and a bunch of garbage.
The fact that he was a skilled piano player. That was the main thing, because they say that Ray, when they were in the process, and God, he lived just before it, but he got to hear it before he transitioned. But they said he himself said that he had to listen to whoever it was, he had to meet and interact. And so Jamie talked about when they first met and they played the piano together and stuff, and that's how he got the nod.
Wow.
But it's amazing, right? So that. You know, there's no reason why there can't be a J. Ron Fleming.
But
you know what I'm saying?
That's my whole thing. I mean, like, I look at, like, J. Ron, you're a perfect example to me, because I know when you started acting, I mean, you were just brand new to this game. I mean, really, in so many ways, you know? And life, too. I mean, for me, when I first met you, you remind me of, like, a fraternity brother. You know, what I mean by that is you were like a partier. You went to Howard, you know, but now you're more like a college professor. You know what I mean? And no, really, because you have taken you got something from somebody that's earning.
Right, but I'd also say that he's like an artistic monk.
Right.
Like seriously, it's not whatever. I'm not familiar with the religion, but the way you conduct yourself when it comes to attacking a role and rehearsal, the way you want your things to be, and you know, it's very monk-like.
Yeah, and also not even just the acting. You understood that you have to live a life in order to become the kind of performer you want to be. Like, I'll never forget and I've always admired this about you because I've never done this. You would study the dictionary and just find words and just, and
that's because I was too bright. I had to catch up. I'm serious, man. You guys were all like, to be honest, I don't know how much younger than you are than me, but I know that generally speaking, the group of jazz actors, other than Wally, everybody was about a decade, give or take, younger than me. And I was like, man, how did I miss all of this life stuff? I mean, I've said many times before, that piece that you created, Riot, just really affected me because I was like, man, these young people are, and it said in the piece, Soul on Ice, the black man speaks, it's a reference to all of these significant writing. And that opening scene with Akumbe, which I, for the longest time, used to try to get you to give me that monologue, but you never did. But
I still gotta find that thing, man.
but it just blew me away because it was so powerful into the inception of how this whole atrocity started and how we ended up being where we are. And even with all of that tragedy, we have become such a creative art force in the world.
Yeah. Speaking
of Blacks in America, it's the most extraordinary thing. I mean, yeah. And so, but I appreciate those shout outs, but I really in awe of just about every aspect of it. And if I had it to do over again, the only thing I would do differently is I would have forced myself to keep my mouth shut a lot more. Because, no, really, because not only did it get me in trouble with Ernie, it sort of, I probably could have, my growth could have been a lot more rapid had I not,
because that's true for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah. I think so.
You learn a lot more when you're listening than you're talking.
Yeah. All right. There are a bunch of people were mentioned. I want to give your viewers some visual references.
All right. Yes.
Wally Brandon.
Oh man.
Oh wow! I remember that.
Yeah.
Who was he playing? Gabriel.
Sorry.
Who was he playing? Gabriel.
Yes, Gabriel Prosser.
Yeah, that's what I remember that.
And the man himself.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, man. And you know what was interesting? I didn't realize it until after the fact, but he put that hat on then because that's when he had really started to become emaciated, and he didn't want it to look that way. And that hat did help because we did, it was happening so gradually, and we were in that that festival that we did with those two shows, Miss Evans Boys and Steal Away, that the ladies did.
Oh yeah,
and we didn't even recognize. And I will always remember as I was leaving the hospital after he transitioned, and I ran into Jerome in the parking lot, and I told him he was just incredulous. He was like, he just couldn't believe he had died. It was just the most profound time.
I broke down in the hospital. I remember.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It just passed me coming in as I was going out.
Yeah.
But he was our sage,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we can end on this note. I mean, this has been Theater Talk, and I am Jerome Scott Smith, and thank you for joining us today. Have a great evening.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Theater Talk. If you have an idea for a topic that you would like for us to discuss on our show, please send it to theatertalkrva@gmail.com. Also, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you think about the show. You can either send us an email at theatertalkrva@gmail.com or send us a comment during an episode on YouTube.